Saban's Big Bad Beetleborgs is the answer to the question, what if you were to mix Power Rangers and the Addams Family together? And no, this show was not a fever dream, it actually happened. And aside from the fact that I absolutely adore this show, for no other reason, we're going to talk about it today. It's a long one, so grab a snack, buckle up, here we go, nerds. However, in order to give you full context for this show, we have to go all the way back to January 28th, 1995. I might butcher names again, but here we go. January 28th, 1995 was the date that the tokusatsu television series Juko B Fighters was released in Japan. It was a much more darker and intense series with crazy wild dialogue and plot points, and unlike other television series at the time, had actual adults fighting monsters instead of kids. And this storyline is wild. It starts with an alien invasion from a bug species from another dimension known as the Jamal, and they're invading Earth, attacking everything in their sights with the intent purpose of searching for magical essenced insects that are being harbored on the planet. And this is where Earth's academia comes in, a secret organization that is tasked to provide a defense against the incoming invasion and provide a counterattack. And as the leader and head entomologist, Dr. Takuya Kai, he is close to providing technology that is supposed to be able to provide an exoskeleton to warriors that can fight against the aliens. There's just one problem. The B Commanders, which are the gadgets that Dr. Takuya created, is not working. They don't provide the exoskeleton for some reason. I am skimming by a lot here, but by venturing into the South African rainforest, they meet an ancient elder known as Wise Sage Guru, who imbues the Bee Commanders with the magical essence of different insects in order to make them work. With Dr. Takuya being the first one to transform into the Blue Beet, and that is no relation to the Blue Beetle released from DC, just making that abundantly clear. And this is also an upgraded version, this is not his original form. He's in flight mode. Later in the series, Daisaku Katagiri, the Doctor's best friend, gets his Bee Commander and becomes the G-Stag, resembling a brilliant green stag beetle. Anrei Hamaya became Reddle, whose appearance and armor took on the shape of a ladybug. She was my favorite. And with an impressive 39 episodes, Stuko B Fighter had a storyline that was filled with pocket dimensions and immortality, and like most tokusatsu-style television, was deep with lore and jam-packed with large-scale fight scenes and big robots that fought monsters and then joined other robots to make bigger robots. But they also tackled really important topics like environmental preservation, defense technology, and things like suffering and sacrifice and greed, and so much more that I can't even cover here. And there are a lot of other Bee Fighters that show up in the show, but the one in particular I want to talk about is Shadow. Otherwise known as the Black Beetle, Shadow is an evil clone taken from the Dr. Takuya's blood and has now become hell-bent to destroy all the rest of the other Bee Fighters. And in researching for this, I actually discovered that the actors who both played Blue Beet and Black Beet are actually twins. And that's why it was so cool to see them on the screen together, because you thought it was trickery, but actually they're just related. That's so cool. And I definitely don't want to spoil any more, and there's certainly a lot that I skipped over, but if you want to watch it, just know that it's a great time. And now that you know a little bit about the origin of this series, let's go back to Beetleborgs. The company Saban was in a prime position to buy the rights to the footage to Juko B Fighters because they were trying to cash out on the success of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Saban, the man who created the company, was like, I might as well just keep doing it. It worked so well the first time. If they love dinosaurs, they'll love insects. Within less than 6 months of acquiring the rights to the footage, Saban was well at work reworking the footage in order to have it appeal to a Western audience, where they turned the adult Beetleborgs into kids. They would turn into that. And that's just the premise, silly. We haven't even gotten to the plot, and oh my goodness. Like most 90s television shows, it starts with 3 innocent kids who just like hanging out at comic book stores, and after being antagonized by a very rich bully, they were pressured into going into the Hillhurst Mansion, which turns out that's a real place, and, totally normal kid activities in the 90s. And of course, as they break and enter into the haunted mansion, they start finding creepy, odd, and scary ghouls and monsters that start frightening them. And some of those monsters included Count Fangula and Wolfgang and the Munz the Mummy. The horrified children barricaded themselves in a room, and after accidentally leaning on a magical organ pipe, released the ghoul/genie Flabber, who, I kid you not, resembles if Elvis Presley and Jim Carrey's The Mask merged together into one. That is not an exaggeration in the slightest, at all. I love this character. Billy Forrester did an amazing job. It's one of the reasons why I love this show. What do these 3 miscreants get for breaking and entering into a haunted mansion and disturbing an ancient being? Well, of course they get their wishes granted, and they choose to become their favorite comic book characters, the Beetleborgs. And even though the three kids were granted magical powers by a ghost genie, the magic somehow operated where the enemies of this comic book were also brought to life and somehow was not dealt with the magic wishes of the genie. I don't know, just go with it. By the end of season 1, Vexor and his evil army, the Magnivores, were able to bring back a comic book villain known as Nucus. And I won't spoil too much after this point. Once again, if you want to go watch Beetleborgs, you're going to have to do it. But with over 88 episodes, 2 seasons, and a movie, they eventually moved on to the Metallics, which is season 2, and which is also a pretty cool storyline. As for crossovers or cameos between Power Rangers and Beetleborgs, there was never anything official from Saban, but 4 years after Beetleborg ended, they did reuse the Black Beetle outfit as one of the villains, the Shadowborg, in one of the Power Ranger specials, Forever Red. Actually, a total of 5 costumes were used, and one of them was even the G-Stag original outfit, and thanks to Sir Superhero for pointing that out. I did not know that fact. And now you know the history behind Jukuo Beef Fighters as well as the Beetleborgs. And if there's anything else you think that I should cover, please feel free to leave it here in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay nerdy, and I'll talk to you next time.